Welcome, girls, guys, gays, and theys, to the Real Struggle Radio with me, your host, Shaq. This is episode 1 of hopefully many. I wanted to start this series with a conversation about the relationship with self, the most important relationship, and some might say the hardest to maintain. Today, we are joined by someone I hold near and dear to my heart, someone I look up to, and someone who really made me feel seen in high school. My girl, Kiarra Soleil. Kiarra, thank you for joining me.
Oh my God, what a nice introduction. That's really sweet, Kiarra.
I worked on it so hard on my way here.
Aww.
I was like, how can I describe this powerful and ever-growing woman that I have the pleasure to call a friend? And that's what I came up with. Kiarra is I got this from your Instagram.
Okay.
So if it's wrong, please add things.
Okay.
I have Kiarra is a Pinterest manager, virtual assistant, and fellow Latina. But what else would you say?
Something else that I like to do is inspire people, talk about ways that they can improve themselves and help them with that kind of stuff, like self.
Yeah.
And most importantly.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted you very specifically to be on this episode. You know, I was thinking about the people that I have in my life and how I can utilize them to my advantage for my podcast. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I wanted to record an episode with you because you're very pivotal in me starting this journey of podcasting again. And I was like, what can I talk to Kiarra about? And, you know, I knew that my first series was going to be a relationship series and it was going to touch on every aspect of relationships. And I was like, I'm not going to do friendship. I'm not going to do intimate relationship with her. What can I do with her? And the reason why I fell to self was because when I envision a confident but lovely, beautiful woman who has a beautiful soul inside and outside, navigates through the world with confidence, the first person who has always come to mind has been you.
Oh my gosh.
And that kind of goes to my first question. How do you view yourself?
I have been getting a lot of compliments lately as I started my entrepreneurship journey. I've gotten a lot of compliments centered around my authenticity, centered around how confident I am. And I honestly don't even think that it occurred to me that I was that way until I went through this journey and people were telling me that. And I went through a shitload of rejection the past couple of years. And it kind of forced me to reflect on how I see myself. And that was really, really hard. I honestly had no idea how to self-identify. So what I did was refer back to those compliments. And then it really clicked in my mind that yeah, I am actually very confident. I am very eager to say it how it is and just say what I'm thinking and move in a way that reflects that.
So prior to this, you wouldn't say that you were a confident person. You didn't see yourself as a confident person.
No, it
That's
wasn't
really
interesting. I know, it wasn't really something I even thought of.
I think that whoever ends up listening to this podcast and knows you is going to be very surprised by this.
I know.
Because you really do navigate the world like the most confident bitch ever. One of the first questions that I have is, do you love yourself?
Yeah, without question. 1,000%.
Did you always feel that way?
Yeah. I would say that I did. I never really understood when people around me talked negatively about themselves because I don't know. It just wasn't in my thought process. It wasn't really in my own vocabulary. I'm sure I did talk like that, before I realized all this new stuff about myself, because I kind of now am conditioning my mind to purposely not talk about myself in that way.
I like that. I like that you said conditioning your mind, because I think a lot of what comes with self-love and self-worth is it's work, right? I mentioned in the intro, that is sometimes the hardest relationship to maintain. And when you talk about conditioning yourself and what you say to yourself, where did you get the knowledge and the resources of what are the right things to say
When I was working in retail, like my first career choice was a career in retail, and following that path, I was noticing the ways that the people around me were really toxic. And I was noticing how much they punched down a lot, not only to themselves, but to our coworkers and the people around
I was going to say, you're talking about your coworkers, your peers.
Yeah. I noticed that wasn't cool. It didn't make me feel good. And I was a leader. For the most part, I was always a manager. And, that's just simply not leading by example. Like, I don't want the people that I'm leading to think badly about themselves, think badly about me or their coworkers. So I try to keep the language just as positive as possible, as opposed to being negative.
I like that you brought up that you worked in retail, because I think a lot of people, their self-worth is equal to their appearance. While you were working in retail, did you ever encounter women or men who you can tell and you can see that they weren't confident walking around the store? Because I know for me, I walk into stores and I feel like, and this may not be true, but I physically feel uncomfortable already. I'm not very confident in my body. So I'm not even one of those like scanning, like I'm just scanning. I'm not even like looking in depth into the rows of clothes. Like I'm just scanning. I'm also looking around to see what people are here. What are they getting? Like, okay, definitely no, I can't buy that. Would you feel that energy when women or men would come into your store? That insecurity of like going to shop?
100%. I never had a male customers, really. If I did, they were shopping for their girlfriends or something. So it was mostly women. My sales strategy to this day is not salesy. It's more about making a connection with the person. And the biggest way I did that was through compliments and making them feel good. So if a customer was trying something on and they were starting that negative self-talk, I would counter that and be like, no, that color looks great on you. Or like before they would even try something on, I would greet them with, oh my God, your outfit looks so cute today. Or your hair looks great.
Yeah, that's really important. I like that you would counter that negative self-talk. That's amazing. We were talking before we started the podcast, and you mentioned how you grew up and how your mom fostered this loving talk to yourself. Can you talk to us a little bit about growing up? And, you are an only child. And so I'm sure that as an only child, you didn't have to compete with anyone else for your parents' attention, which I think competition also sparks negative self-worth for people. And, the first real relationship that you had to nurture, other than your parents, obviously was yourself. As an older sister, I feel like as soon as I turned 6 or 7, now my focus was on making sure like my brother was good. Like I was no longer focused on me. I had to like act and move a certain way, but it was for my brother, to be an example for my brother. So I no longer became myself. I now became a role model immediately. And so yeah, can you walk us through what it was like growing up as an only child with your mother and the kind of conversations you would have with her?
Yeah. So on my dad's side, I do have half and step siblings that I kind of did have to compete for his attention for. But what was interesting about that is because they only saw me here and there, it kind of gave me like a celebrity status. So I feel like that low-key kind of contributes to my confidence too.
Yeah.
Every time I would come over, it was like an event.
Ooh,
so
okay.
That's interesting, actually. And
I feel like that's how it is now. Any room Kiarra steps into, it's an event.
Oh my God, that's so nice of you to say.
And she's the smallest one in the room. Like, make it make sense.
It's all the Leo placements, honestly.
Ooh, that part.
Yeah. Because that situation was happening with my dad, I was living with my mom and grew up pretty much with her as my like predominant parent. And I don't necessarily agree with this parental tactic that she did with me, but I think she, in a way, was kind of trying to validate herself in saying things to me like, you're so beautiful. You have such a great body. You got it just from your mom. You got it just from your aunts. We're Puerto Rican, so a lot of pride comes from being Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And that's another factor that contributes to my confidence as well.
It's very important that you mentioned that your family is Puerto Rican. They have Puerto Rican pride. Because I feel like growing up a Latina, my mom always valued appearance more than anything. And that goes across the board, not just my mom. I grew up with a lot of women. My family is mostly comprised of women and beautiful women. And being Dominican, also grew up in a household that was very, even though a lot of us are dark skinned, like very anti-black features. I have a lot of black features. I have fuller lips. I have bigger nose than maybe some other people from my family. I have way kinkier hair than every single one of my aunts. Kinkier hair than every single one of my cousins. I'm also like darker than a lot of my aunts and my immediate family. And so growing up, my mom was always trying to fit me into this mold, right? She hid my curls. My hair was always in tight buns, tight braids, like braids all over my hair, ponytails all over my hair. And I just remember like being in kindergarten or in first grade and it was picture day and she would straighten my hair and she had a heavy hand and then the straightening iron and burning my head and my poor little scalp.
Oh my gosh.
And it was all because she always said, you are a representation of us as your representation of me when you leave the house. You know, you need to always be put together and look nice. You can't go out looking like a loca, como una maldita loca. Like that was the thing. Every time I wanted to just wear sweatpants, I was una maldita loca because I wanted to wear sweatpants. When I first moved to Jersey in 7th grade, I never wore sneakers. I never wore jeans. I was always wearing dresses. Even to gym, I didn't have gym sneakers because I didn't have sneakers growing up. Sneakers were not a thing. It was all nice, cute sandals. It was boots. It was booties. It was dresses. I was always very put together. I was like this little 7th grader and people looked at me weird because I was like, why is she dressed like that? Like an all pink fit. It was a mess. I grew up that way. And so automatically when I got older and I was able to dress myself, I rejected that. And I would wear the sweatpants. And even till this day, like I reject that. I like dressing up. I like dressing nice, but that's not my main purpose, is to like go out to the nines, right?
Right.
When I did start rejecting that and I was dressing myself, some of the stuff that my mom would say, that negative talk that she would say to me is, you're never going to find a man like that. No man is ever going to date you looking like that. Then I started gaining weight. No man's ever going to love you with a few pounds on you, which like jokes on her because...
Yeah, joke is literally on her.
I mean, hello.
Right.
And also I have so many other things to offer the world. But this just kind of goes to, why do we put so much of our self-worth into how we look in the Hispanic community? I think that by your mom saying those things to you, they're beautiful things and that's amazing. But it's like she's putting so much of your self-worth into your appearance instead of saying, you're also so smart and you're so talented because you were a dancer and you're so artistic. There's so many other things that she could have said, but she chose to focus on your looks. Why do you think that is?
I think because they were literally just projecting their own insecurities onto us and their own values. Like, it's pretty clear that women in general, and probably especially like Hispanic women, they value the approval of men so freaking much.
Yeah.
Like, so much. They project that onto us. They don't realize that that's not everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's really messed up. And it's really unfortunate how anti-Black Dominicans are.
Oh, very. Like, that could be a whole other conversation. But it is something that does end up affecting your self-worth and how you see yourself growing up. I mean, thankfully, I never looked at myself in the mirror and were like, oh, I hate my skin color or anything like that. I always championed it. I always thought it was beautiful. Other parts of myself, though, I hated. I hated my hair and I hated my lips. If I didn't have my hair done, like, I was in a bad mood. It ruined everything. It ruined the fit. It ruined all these things, which I know now is a lie and it's not true.
Yeah.
And I look just as beautiful if I have my hair in a bun and looking with my gym clothes on than I do with my straight hair. None of that matters, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Everybody knows that. I want to touch on this subject that you mentioned about how validation and how in the Hispanic community, beauty is like very important. In this society, people hold Latin women to a very high standard. And I don't know whose fault that is. I don't know if that was our fault. I don't know. Could it be patriarchy? Because patriarchy, I feel like, is only in America, but this isn't an only in America thing. This is like around the world. Hispanic women are put in a pedestal. And you hear that a lot with a lot of people. It's they literally just felt like Latinas are like the sexiest, the hottest, the everything for them. And it kind of makes you feel like, shit, I do have to live up to that look. And that's something that I had to deal with because, yes, I obviously look Latina. And yes, I am an attractive female, I guess you could say. I'm a bigger girl. I don't have a fat ass like a lot of Dominicans or Puerto Ricans would have. But I found myself always comparing, why don't I have this big ass like other Dominican women? Growing up, no one really was attracted to me or looked to me towards beauty. So I feel like that's also so dangerous. It's like how society puts Latina women as the most beautiful creatures, and we're spicy and we're hot and we're this and we're that. That is so dangerous too to us and our self-worth.
It's very dangerous, and it's even more dangerous than what you're saying, like actually, because where it stems from, the problem, and it's 100% white supremacist patriarchy. Patriarchy, misogyny, these men don't see us as humans.
Yeah.
We're sex objects. It is 100% a fetish. They always want like an exotic looking woman, you know, from some crazy place that's not, you know, white.
Yeah.
So it is 100% a fetish.
How do we, as Latina women, how do we fight against that?
My experience, because I do want to like disclaim that I do benefit from pretty privilege. I do fit the beauty standard of where we grew up. I am like a picture of a Latin woman.
Latin beauty.
Right. So I have experienced the dangers of that. And I think a way to sort of protest it is to make it known that you're human, and to make it known that you're more than your looks. You're more than, you know, how people perceive you. You have thoughts. You're smart. You know what I mean? I think that is what is going to help that, because these men, they don't see past your looks. No. They simply don't. They just want you to sit there and look pretty. They want you to be their accessory.
Yeah.
They're not really interested in having conversations with you. And I didn't really realize that until later as an adult. I came to realize that, you know, I am a really smart woman. And well, not came to realize, I always knew, right, that I was smart. And my mom, both my parents, gave me the space to think freely and to form my own personality. And as I started being in adult romantic relationships, I started realizing that these men don't respect that part of me at all. Like at all. It's and scary.
That's funny that you realize that older. I realized that very young. You know me very well. I do have a very outgoing and strong personality.
Why we're so close.
Yeah. And I noticed it very clearly because I would have men, like kids, because they were not men. We're talking about like
teenagers,
teenage men telling me, you're too much. Or you're too intimidating. Or you're too, like, there was always that. So I realized it pretty young. They were looking at my looks, but then they were also like, fuck that Shakira's smart, or that Shakira's funny, or that she's cool, or that she's that. She's loud. That's too much. She's too loud, too outgoing, whatever it was that they thought about me. That didn't fit that mold of what they wanted me to be. They wanted me to be, I guess, the quiet, cute Latina. They didn't want me to be the loud, boisterous Latina. Right. That's not what they want. But that's misogyny, though.
That's misogyny, but it's also racism. It's also fat phobia.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a very similar personality, like you just said. And when we were younger, I kind of was labeled as just like, oh, she's just like sassy. You know, like that's really interesting. Because
we literally were the same person in so many aspects.
Yeah.
We had very similar personalities. We both like the same fucking music.
Yeah.
We both like all the same shit. Like we were literally the same person. But I feel like the way people viewed me and the way people viewed you, very, very different.
Yeah.
I definitely want people to leave this conversation with resources and something that they can take with them, that they turn off this episode and they're like, I want to instill this into my life. Something I want to ask you, because I feel like you probably definitely do this, are what self-love rituals do you practice every single day?
I hope this doesn't disappoint you. But I will say my self-care ritual is checking in with myself to see what my energy levels are, to see what I'm able to accomplish for the day. Like, I know I could easily say like journaling or taking a walk or cooking a meal or, you know, like whatever else.
Yeah.
Those,
but
like,
if that's not true to you, I don't want you to make some shit up.
Right. Like, you know, whatever else, like those clean girl TikTok girlies be posting. Like, no.
And also, who the fuck has time for that?
Right. Like that, I do love doing those things. And they are important for self-care.
Yeah, maybe on a cute
confidence.
Sunday morning when you don't have anything else going on.
Right. But to try to limit myself and make a strict ritual would mean living inauthentically.
Okay.
Because a big part of living authentically is, you know, making sure that you're moving with your energy level. Yeah. You know what I mean? And conserving your energy for when things are more important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's very important that you said that, because asking you this now, that after you answered that, I'm like, this could be a very problematic question, because some people don't have time for rituals.
Yeah. It's very like privileged, honestly.
Yeah. Wow, you just shut me up. That's crazy. But that's why I'm so happy that, like, that's why these conversations are so fucking important. Mm-hmm. Because I felt like I should have a ritual, right? Everyone's telling me I should be journaling every day. I should be doing all these affirmations every single day. But I really do not have the energy or the space, so that when I don't do them, I feel like fucking shit. And I feel like, wow, I am 10 steps behind.
And it counteracts, it's counterintuitive. That's supposed to be a self-care ritual. But then when you don't do the one time, it immediately turns into self-hate.
So you're saying wake up and really think inwardly about what your energy allows for that day.
Yeah. And your non-negotiables, right? Because we do unfortunately still have to work and, you know, we have obligations and stuff. So taking a look at your schedule for the day and taking a look at how much sleep you got previously and just your energy level in general, and maybe allow yourself to have an hour like before bed to do something self-care related. Okay. So an action step you can take is make a list of activities that make you feel good. So for me, that's journaling. I do tarot cards a lot. I smoke weed. Whatever it is for you, make a list of it. And then allocate time in your day. And when it comes to that time, take a look at your list and pick the thing that inspires you in the moment and do that.
I love that. This kind of goes into another thing that I think could be a little problematic.
Okay.
How do you feel about this whole romanticize your life thing that people are doing on social media? Everything is about romanticizing your life. How do you feel about that phrase, romanticizing your life?
I feel indifferent. I think I work in social media.
Do you think it's also a privilege, though?
I don't know. Because I work in social media, I know a lot about marketing. And those girls, what they're doing with that word, it's just a keyword. It's just SEO. It's just a trending word. What it really is, what it boils down to, is just loving your life. Living in delusion a little bit, in a good way.
Yeah.
I actually used that in the beginning of like my self-love, quote unquote, journey. Was I did sort of romanticize my life, and I did picture myself as like my life is a movie. I'm literally the main character of my movie. Yeah. And I don't think that's problematic, honestly. I really don't. I think it it helps with your confidence and your affirmations, because when you train yourself to think that you're the most important thing in the world, then you start to live that way and you start to treat yourself that way. What makes it problematic is lack of self-awareness. So you do need to be self-aware, and you do need to understand how talking in this way might affect other people, or you need
to do it with intention.
Exactly.
You need to move. If you're gonna go through this journey and start romanticizing your life and picturing yourself as the main character and acting as such, it needs to be with intention. It can't be because you're doing it for a like or a click or an SEO.
Exactly.
If you're doing it like a real life, because my audience, we're talking about real people here. I think that a lot of people are using it, in my opinion, when I see it, are using it like wrong.
Yeah.
Like just, like as a clickbaity thing. Or even when you mention like the clean girl aesthetic too thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, those are all just like kind of things that if you as a consumer are not reading between the lines.
Yeah. Using discernment,
it could be troubling.
Yeah.
And so that's something else that I really want you guys to take with you, girls, guys, gays, theys, is this content that you are consuming when you are on this self-love journey, which we should all be on. This year for me is my self-love journey, my self-love year. I'm focusing and doing things that benefit me and only me. And honestly, I could give a fuck about anybody else right now because I spent 27 years of my life giving a fuck about other people. But that's neither here nor there. Is take everything and consume, but with discernment.
Yeah.
And do further research too, and also broaden your spectrum of who you're watching, what you're ingesting, and then take bits and pieces of it. And then again, I think what you said is very important, incorporating it into your life, but really figure out what your energy and what you as a person can handle that day. Don't try to do it all. Don't try to journal and I have to do 1 hour of journaling, 1 hour of reading, 1 hour. Oh my God. Another thing that I saw when I was going through my research of my self-love journey, right? These 75-day challenge, 50-day challenge.
I hate those
Can
things.
we talk about that?
I really, what is that?
It's insane. Yeah. It's like, I saw this one, I don't remember it was the 50-day or 75-day. It's like every single day was like this crazy shit. 1 hour of journaling, 1 hour in the morning where you don't use your phone, learning a new skill every day, like trying to learn a new skill every day. It was like some crazy shit. And it's like, who the fuck is doing this? And how do you have time? And how are you even completing this and being like consistent with it? And how do these people feel like it's okay to put this out? Are they even really doing it? Like, how authentic is this?
I don't think it's authentic at all.
These challenges have to stop.
They really do. I think we have to work enough to pay our bills, to live. We have to work to live. And I think another part of self-love is knowing when to rest.
Yeah. Oh my God, that part.
Like, hello,
when are you
resting?
We're not
doing
resting
these
enough.
Challenges. You're not. Rest is not a part of it. Journaling, reading, learning a new skill, that's work.
Yeah.
That's literal work. You need to rest.
You need to rest too, because I think the most important thing to self-love and having a relationship with yourself is having conversations with yourself. And how are you going to have the time and the energy to have a conversation with yourself if you're tired?
Yeah.
If you're haggard.
Exactly. Yes.
If you're doing all these other things like learning a fucking skill. How? It's
just so unrealistic. And I think it's a product of capitalism. Just forcing us to work. You know, like I honestly think that those girlies, they're literal girl bosses because they're benefiting from the TikTok algorithm. You know, it's all a funnel leading into whatever business that they're trying to promote.
Right.
And I just think it's such bullshit because we're not meant to work this hard.
No.
We're not. We were never supposed to
They don't do that in
like
other
that.
countries.
No, they don't.
They definitely make time for rest and they live happier lives for sure.
Isn't there a country that literally in the middle of the day, like everything's closed for like literal nap time?
I think it's Italy.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
We should do that.
We should do that, but we won't because this is a capitalist country.
Right.
But speaking of work, now let's transition. Loved this conversation, but I want to transition into work because one of your jobs that you have, I don't know if you consider this into a job, I think ties in very well with when you think about self-worth and sexuality, because sexuality is a huge thing of who we are as people and how we see ourselves and how we view other people. You do OnlyFans.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that in the earlier.
You should have, and we didn't, and that's kind of fucking rude.
Well, it's okay because
we
you
should
know
have shouted that shit out so you could get your coins.
But it's okay. We're doing it now. And first of all, why I even started my OnlyFans, it wasn't really to make money. Like it was, but it was during a time where I just saw an opportunity to make money for just existing.
Yeah.
For just posting pictures that I already had on my phone.
Right.
So I was like, okay.
Or that you would already post on like Twitter.
Exactly. But now it's kind of turned into like a fuck you to patriarchy, misogyny, to capitalism. I get to benefit. I get to make profit from literally snapping cute pictures of me in my underwear.
Yeah.
Like, what a better way to protest.
Yeah. Yeah. But in the conversation of what we're talking today, I really want to talk about how empowerment and also women putting other women down.
Yeah.
In this conversation of OnlyFans, when it first came out, I very, very, very vividly remember when you made your OnlyFans, multiple people hitting me up because they know that I know you and talking shit. And any one of those people can
go fuck themselves.
Can not only go fuck themselves, but they know and I know that I very, very was like, why the fuck do you care? And instead of talking shit, how about you fucking subscribe and give the girl her coin? A lot of it was other women telling me like, how could she be doing this? And just putting you down for doing something that first of all, you didn't even pay, so you don't even know what's behind the paywall. You don't know what she's posting. Right. So you're just automatically assuming that this bitch is fucking finger popping herself and on OnlyFans or like sucking a guy off. Which if she was,
it's literally fine.
Literally is fine and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But again, we're just going based off the fact that she did an OnlyFans and you want to talk shit, cool. But it's this thing of women putting other women down for their sexuality. Have you felt that? Have you seen that? Like actually, not just me telling you, have you felt that? And what is advice that you would give to another female who is very much in tune with their sexuality and is very much confident in themselves, but might be a little bit hesitant to put themselves out there to an OnlyFans and to make money off of the confidence that they already have because of how they feel like they're going to be received by the public, by their peers?
Well, the root of all those girls talking
self-hate
shit is literal self-hate. It's literal projection of their own insecurities because they could never. And they're upset that I did.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. My advice to girls that might want to start an OnlyFans is to understand that first thing that I just said. Understand that if they do get criticism, it's not a reflection of them for starting it. It's a reflection of the people saying it.
Yeah.
And then before you start it, make sure you're 21. I know technically you can at 18, but I personally think that that's way too young. And that feeds into a fetish that is disgusting. And you definitely don't want to do that. So definitely be an appropriate age and assess your relationships to the people that might be criticizing you, because how people perceive us can affect us even if we know that their criticisms are projection. Make sure that you have a good enough relationship with the core people, so with your family, with your friends,
because those are the people who matter, really. Exactly.
Your family, your friends, and your work, because honestly, OnlyFans doesn't make me enough money to pay all my bills. I wish it did, but it's just unrealistic to go into it thinking that it's going to do that for you. You have to know that those pictures are gonna be on the internet forever. So you have to think about the trajectory of your career path and whether or not you're going to be in a career path that's going to look down on that. So when I made that decision for myself, I already knew that, well, at that point, I was still working retail. So I was like, no one gives a fuck in retail if I have an OnlyFans. And if they do, I will call them out on it.
Right.
And even now, as an entrepreneur, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
If anything, they admire me. They think it's cool that I do that. Understand that. And it's important to understand misogyny and patriarchy because these men are ruthless. They can make you feel bad for posting your hole.
Yeah.
You know, like it's important not to internalize the things that they say. And it's important to understand like sex work in general, like the history of sex work and the history of how sex workers are treated in this society, and make sure that you're grounded in yourself enough to fight those things.
Yeah. Move with intention.
Yeah.
Everything that you do with intention. Because if not, people will drag you down.
Right.
But I feel like if you do it with intention and you know why you're doing it and you have enough self-worth and self-confidence and you believe in what you're doing, then you should be good.
Yeah. And with that confidence, you'll have the ability to counter it. Like, I always think about whether or not like my parents will be okay with me having an OnlyFans. I don't think they know, but if they were to ever say something, I always know what to say. And that's like, you trust me, you know that I'm safe. I'm a smart businesswoman. I'm a smart woman. I know how to protect myself. And I need this extra cash.
Yeah.
You know, you know, you want me to live comfortably. You want me to have a good life for myself. This is an avenue to do that.
Yeah.
If you think it looks bad on me or, you know, you have these criticisms, that is a reflection of you and not a reflection of me.
Right.
And that's it.
What do you think sites like OnlyFans do for empowering women? Or do you think that is a responsibility, an individual's responsibility?
I think it's an individual's responsibility because, I don't know, this is hard because the platform does facilitate a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
But literally all of our work environments are toxic.
Yeah.
Our country is toxic.
Corporate
society,
America, I, as someone who has worked in corporate America for 5 years, I would say is probably the most toxic work environment there is. It's
dangerous to be in OnlyFans, or it's dangerous to be a sex worker in general.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand how it's dangerous and how you can protect yourself from those dangers.
Yeah. But you wouldn't say that you've ever felt disempowered by it.
No.
Everybody's on this, like, also this empowerment kick. Like, everybody wants to empower somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And when sites like these pop up and it feels like women are taking control of their own empowerment, at the end of the day, OnlyFans and these sites, they're probably run by men. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times they're used against us. I mean, they were even banning certain things. Like, well, it all goes back to sex work, right? Mm-hmm. Once you feel like, oh, this could be empowering, somebody does something or says something and they make it so much less empowering for us, and it feels like we're moving backwards. Mm-hmm. In like the progress that we made as women and taking our bodies and our responsibility back and our empowerment back. And that's why I asked that question, just because it is OnlyFans at the end of the day is a business that is owned by, I'm not sure, I would have to, but I'm pretty sure it is run by men.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to, yeah, I think it does fall again on you as a woman, as an individual. Focus on empowering yourself and not so much what you're doing, but just how you're moving and how you feel. You feel empowered?
That whole thing of like feeling empowered is like a white feminist take, honestly, because
I've been falling into a lot of these traps, girls, as you can see.
It's really easy to.
It's so easy.
It's really easy to. It's just not intersectional enough.
You're so right. All these people who talk about and preach women empowerment, it's like all these like white bitches on social media.
It's like pick me energy. I don't know.
Meanwhile, people of color, women of color, we're fucking drowning trying to make these spaces for ourselves, trying to make ourselves seen, trying to make ourselves heard.
I think the idea of that, it's true. You know, the reason that OnlyFans is a thing is because, you know, men are pervy. They want to see us naked and whatever. And that's not really empowering as a woman. But at the same time, we live in this capitalist society that gives us the opportunity to profit off of it.
Yeah.
And to not profit off of it is feeding into white supremacy and patriarchy.
Yeah. And feeding into society wanting to keep us down as women and as people of color.
Right.
We were taught to move in a certain way because we're people of color, that if we feed into some of these things, then it's like a bad look. But no, let's use these things that these white people are using for their gain and for their benefit, that these white women are using for their gain and for their benefit. Why can't we fucking use them too?
Exactly.
So let's fucking do it. I fucking love that. I'm loving this conversation. I really, really, really think that it's been so informative, so eye-opening for myself in general. There's so much to take away from it. And if there's one thing I would want our listeners to take away from, is really, really, really taking the time to rest and to get to know yourself and to read your room. Like, you know how they say, like, read the room, read your room, read what is it, what do you need? What is it that makes you happy? Like how you said, make that list, all the things that make you happy. And then on that Monday or Tuesday, you have a little bit of time. What do I have space for? Let's stop this whole like girl boss, this challenge, fitting all these things in a day. No, that is not how you learn to love yourself. I just thought of something so beautiful. When you fall in love with someone, that takes time, and that takes nurturing, and that takes effort, and that takes dates, and that takes researching, and that takes listening to the other person. All this energy that we put into loving another person, those are the things that we need to put into ourselves.
Yes.
That time and that patience. That patience. I feel like I don't have enough patience with myself. I had so much patience with Sammy in the 7 years, so much patience to get to where we are now. Why did I not have that patience for myself? Why is it now at 27, gonna be 28 years old, am I now slowing down and giving myself the room to learn how to love myself? And that is the mistake, and that I don't. At this point, everybody who's listening to this episode, we're fucking old. This podcast, we're grown, we're old. All we can do is move forward.
Yeah.
But we are going to start having kids, and we are going to have nieces, and we're going to have nephews, and we're going to have godsons, and we're going to have goddaughters. And this is the things that we want to instill in them that were never really instilled in us. It's that patience to learn and to nurture ourselves and our self-love and our self-worth. So that is what I want everyone to leave here with. That is the point that I want to end on. Kiarra, I really want you to leave our listeners with another gleam of hope and another tidbit of information that they can take with them and hold and put it in their back pocket.
You said so many good things.
I know. Look at me. Look at me. I should be a fucking...
You should be a podcaster.
I should be a fucking podcaster. Where they do that at?
I will leave you with this. The journey never ends.
Oof.
I'll tell you a little anecdote. I was like at a pool in a bikini with my friend, and we were taking pictures, and I was like, ooh, my stomach looks weird like that. Hold on, I gotta adjust. And they stopped and they said, that's like really surprising for you to say. And I was like, I still have insecurities.
Right.
I'm like, yes, I love myself wholeheartedly, but having confidence doesn't mean the absence of insecurities.
Ooh.
It's an ongoing practice. It's ongoing conditioning and making sure that you're there for yourself during those times of insecurity.
I loved, oh, Kiarra, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of this episode, for being a part of my journey, and now the part of so many people's journeys. And please come on again. I'm sure we will have so much to talk about. So thank you so much. And if people want to follow you, like, give us all the information, plug yourself, girl.
I want you all to follow me on my business account. It's Kiarra Soleil. I will be starting my coaching journey. I spent a lot of time giving unsolicited advice to all of my girlfriends, and, you know, they simply weren't in the space to hear it. And I see myself giving a lot of unsolicited advice here and there, and I think it's time I get paid for it.
I love it.
So, yeah, if you're looking for coaching in this field, in this area, I would be more than happy to help you.
This bitch is saying this is the last free advice y'all are gonna get from me. Save this, download it, because after that, run me my fucking money. Kiarra, thank you so much. I love you. Guys, girls, gays, theys, stay tuned for the next episode. I'm so excited to have you guys on this journey with me, and I cannot wait to continue this conversation. Please continue this conversation. Talk about it with your girlfriends, boyfriends, friends. Love you all. Bye.